How do you keep the magic going in between your Disney vacations? Plus, what did we get wrong in our last podcast? Let's bring back the magic.
Bring back the magic for all to see. Together we'll discover all the joy and glow. In every story, there's a little bit of gold. Join our podcast adventure, let the magic unfold.
Oh man, I love dancing.
I
That
know.
is
I
my
love our new open. Good job on that.
I hope
love
everybody
it.
likes who's watching this on YouTube, loves the new opening.
I know.
I do.
yeah.
I'm a big
I-
fan of it.
I
Shout
just-
out to our shout out to our sponsor. This episode sponsored by Theme Park Chuckle. Make sure you check them out at themeparkchuckle.com to grab you a funny Disney-based shirt or two, such as the ultra classy Let's Get Trash shirt featuring everyone's favorite World Showcase trash can / dining table if you're at Food and Wine, available on themeparkchuckle.com. So
Thank you,
big shout
Theme
out
Park
to our
Chuckle.
sponsor.
If you notice in the very beginning, you'll notice when we watch this episode is because this was our first time doing the cold open. I was looking at the camera for that. So the very first beginning or the very beginning when we're talking, I'm looking at the camera real quick. It's throwing me off, but I'm in my zone
You
now.
completely lost me.
Yeah.
I don't know words. Okay, yeah. So, welcome to the podcast for another great episode. We got some fun things coming up for you, and also it gives us a little bit of time to talk about the things we may have already gotten wrong in past podcasts. So,
I
we
would
went
like
and delved-
to say,
Go ahead.
yeah, I would like to say for those of you just joining us, welcome aboard. I would like to say that this is not a fact cast. I wouldn't label us as such. We aim to be, but we are a fan cast. We don't go and say, hey, I'm going to talk about something from the past and look it up. I mean, we could do that, and maybe in the future we will. But generally, we're a brother and sister just talking about our Disney memories. So sometimes we'll get it wrong. And that's where you guys come in. Feel free to comment below. We're not going to take it personally. I mean, be nice, but tell us what we got wrong because it will happen and we own that.
Well, I love this community anyway because it's been really vocal to us, especially after only our first few shows between YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, all those kind of things. Thank you for everybody following us and being part of that magic, as it were, because it really makes our day and puts a smile on our face because we do enjoy feedback, good, bad, and different. Fortunately, everything's been pretty great, and that's
great.
wonderful. And I love people commenting on how young I look. It really is the best thing ever. Sorry, Gina, you do not get the same feedback, but I'm happy. I wear a hat, I'm bald, and if I take it off, I probably look like the Wish version of The Rock. But I'm like, it's just I'm happy. I'm mid-40s. I'm happy to look young on this podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. One of the things we did get wrong, it was when we were describing the Communicore stuff. So east and west, we got them reversed. So east was west and west was east. So if you went left in Epcot back in the day, you were going to Communicore east. If you went right, you were going to west. Because I looked at it like from north, south, east, west, like you were coming in through the south, like south or whatever on there. So that's why we kind of dubbed it Communicore east, because it would be northeast, southwest kind of deal. So then east is always to the right. So the more you know. All right. That's the magic for you.
I mean, a minor error. So good on us. Unlike when I realized that after years, decades even of my life, I've been singing the words to the World of Motion song wrong. I thought it's fun to be free to be on the moon. And apparently it's on the move, which I guess for World of Motion does make more sense, but also isn't going to the moon a form of transportation? I mean, like, can you really fault me? But I could not stop laughing about it.
Let's unpack that whole statement, because even to go to the moon, because technically I still think we haven't. I am subscribing now with more and more each day that we've never landed on the moon. But it's fun to be free and to be on the move, MOVE. Because when I was looking at some of our past videos and everything, I was looking at it and I'm like, it corrected it itself to and put up moon as you said it. And I was like, did she really say that, or she just hiccup in her speech? And it thought she said moon. And then I asked our other sister, Danielle, I was like, fun to be free. She loves World of Motion, first of all. And I'm like, was it be on the move or be on the moon? And I go, I think it's move. She's like, it's move. And I'm like, What idiot thinks it's the moon?
Well, now that I know this private conversation occurred behind my back about it, oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't know that you would. So, what'd you do? Adjust the captions? Because in the captions, it says move.
Yeah,
Thanks for
I
that.
adjusted it because I was like
So this
to the
story
right
didn't
way.
need to be made public.
Yeah. So, well, I'm sorry. We wrote. There's your ruin the magic of the day of captions.
Well, mooning on.
And we want to remind people that this is a TV 14 podcast. So if there's younger viewers, make sure you have your parents' permission before you watch. We keep it pretty clean because
Yeah.
it's Disney. Why not keep it clean?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. That kind of stuff to me, I mean, is just comical. I love the fact that our family can talk about things like that and we just laugh it off. It's not like we get really bent about it. There's certain things you can be bent about, but I'm like, it's just funny. I was cracking up on the phone with our sister saying, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills in this because I'm pretty sure I was right about it. And I was right. And I'm like, you know what? I get so happy when I'm right because it
I
seldom
know.
happens.
I know.
Usually, Gina was always the queen of Google back in the day, or not back in
Before
the day. but
Google existed, even.
no, she was Google before Google. Let's put it that way. She would find something on the internet or find somewhere it could be an encyclopedia, but she would myth bust you really quick. She'd be like, yeah, that's inaccurate. Here's all the backing work I've done. Here's the receipts for this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh, well, there's that. And if I said something and Gina was on her phone later in life, you'd inevitably get a text, something to be like, oh, yeah, I guess I was wrong. So I just kind of
I'm
resign
only
myself to
adamant about something when I know I'm right. If I'm not positive, I will say you could be right. But when I know I'm right, I will die on that hill.
Yeah,
And then I'll
no.
have to prove it to you because that's the only way. So I guess I should have been a lawyer.
And it's tough with Disney stuff because Disney, we're very diehard Disney people. So it
Mhm.
almost hurts our heart when we're wrong about something in Disney or
It
you
does.
can't recollect it the right way.
It does.
You're
It
like,
does.
oh, crap. I get that way about Disney movies now because I'll be honest with
Mhm.
you. I'm more of a old school Disney film
Mhm.
purist
Same.
than I am new school Disney. So if you're
Mhm.
going to like movies, like it could be like something that just came out, like a Turning Red kind of thing or an Encanto, I will have no things to put out there for you. I have no opinions.
I
I have
liked
no,
Encanto. I thought I loved
and
Coco.
yeah, Coco, I actually really, really enjoyed.
But
'Cause
also just Pixar in general, I know they're owned by Disney, but I just kind of put them in a different category anyway. You know, I love Ratatouille. That is like my
oh yeah,
jam.
great.
Toy Story movies are great. Just kind of separate them. That's kind of like how Marvel's owned by Disney now and Lucasfilm. So it's not like you can't compare like Star Wars to like a standard Disney movie anyway. So I kind of don't put Pixar in that. So what Disney's putting out as far as a Disney film is different, but I
Mhm.
am old school like you are. Like I love Cinderella. I love Robin Hood, Rescuers. Also, I really love talk old school. Our old VHS player, Cinderella. I don't even think it was a store-bought copy. I think we'd like taped it off TV. And it was like when the story would start, the movie would start,
Fake
and it was like
fun.
it was the storybook would open up a Cinderella, and it was like the tracking on your old school VHS. It was kind of fuzzy, and I love it. Like that's part of the memory for me. Like that putting that tape in and it's starting that way. I love that.
Okay. That's Disney memories for you. An old beat up VCR player. Now, was it a top loading VCR player or was it like like side
Top
loading?
load. Top
Was it
load where you
top?
had to push
Yeah,
the
the top
buttons
loader was so
down.
old
You had
school.
to push them down. You didn't push a button in, you pushed it down until it clicked. And you had to
And
hold record and
everybody,
play together.
and this isn't part of the topic for this week, but everybody remembers when you got the old Disney cassettes, okay, the VHSs, and you went to open them. Somebody got maimed by those things all the time, like that rough
Right.
plastic edge. You go to get
Yeah.
them open when you're a kid, and somebody like some reason to be stuck, or when you first bought them, and inevitably just crack it across your knuckles, something you get a cut. Oh, it was the
But
worst.
But I think things like that just lend to what we're talking about what Disney is. Disney isn't always about the tangible thing, it's about the feeling. So
Mhm.
watching that, you'd think, oh, she'd much rather watch it on DVD. No, because the sentimentality, the nostalgia of watching it on my VHS gave me a feeling, a different feeling. Digitally remastered, yeah, that's great, aesthetically, but the feeling comes from, I often think, and I've said this even because, we have siblings that are a lot younger than us too. And then we've got our kids and our nieces and nephews and everything. But I do think that a big difference for us is we were growing up in a five senses childhood. Like I have a memory of what my strawberry shortcake baby doll smelled like. You remember like every sense, related to a memory. And kids nowadays, everything's so digital there's not necessarily that same kind of memory. Like I often wonder, like, what smells will my son remember from his childhood, like related to things he plays with? An iPad doesn't have a smell, like, you know, a lot of these toys, they're not like that. So I think that's a big part.
The iPad depends on whose kid's iPad it is. Some of them have a smell because they're caked in everything that kid ate or has been around for a long time. Because some people are dirty. Let's just be honest.
Mop it up.
Now we are debuting a new segment on the show. It's called Asking Alexa Disney Questions. We're going to move on to that segment now.
We've got some Disney questions. Alexa, give us the goods. Alexa, give us the goods. We got some Disney questions.
That's another earworm. Sorry, but it is. Like that is.
You
love this great technology we have here. Let's go ahead and ask Alexa these things. Alexa, what's the most popular ride at Walt Disney World?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the #1 ride at Disney World is Splash Mountain.
Okay, so, so Alexa might not be updated and know that Splash Mountain is no more. And maybe
I'm curious what her
Disney should have asked her before they took it away.
I'm also, as we're doing this segment, I'm very curious who inputs, because you see things all the time on social media where people talk about, oh my God, I asked my Alexa this, and this was the answer it gave me. Like, sometimes mine will say, it'll tell me a website it took it from. But the other stuff, I'm very curious where they get the answer, because what's the criteria in did you say what's the #1 ride or what's the best ride? What did you ask?
What's the most popular?
Most popular.
And I like what just comes up. Source. I know a guy. I'm like, Alexa, is this your source? I'm like, who said it? Alexa contributor. Who was it? Somebody I'm not giving up on this. I'm going to die on this hill. Chicken Hill. I'm going to die on because I love it.
I would definitely not have guessed that answer.
Well, it just shows to show you. And again, we don't get political on this show. We don't get, we don't get those kind of things. Yeah. But Splash Mountain, my daughter, Peyton, she loves Splash Mountain. Ironically, she loves Princess and the Frog too. So Tiana thing's kind of like a win-win to have that kind of ride, but she still loved the old school Splash Mountain. So it's funny that that's the answer, because I wouldn't expect that to be the answer. But again, sometimes Alexa is just the way you say a question, what she'll come back with. You could probably rephrase it a million ways and it'll probably get a different result. But it's so funny that came up, because again, that was a big deal. That was like newsworthy stuff. People were like, oh yeah, we got to get rid of Splash Mountain. It's got this, there's some things with it. Okay. I always loved the ride because I never looked in depth in the ride like that. And I guess because I just wasn't that person. I was a Disney person. I loved that. I like Brer Rabbit. I love, Brer Fox, Brer Bear. And I always got, when I was younger though, still those buzzards creep you out. Okay. Yeah. They creep you out big time. So you're going up the hill. You're like, oh, it's the drop. It's the drop. Yeah.
That was such a thrill though. I loved that ride. I mean, like, it was a thrill. After many years, I kind of stopped because the water like starts to kind of have like a sweat sock smell. And I know every so often they're trying to like change it, but that's what kind of kept me from wanting to get like on it as I got older, was just I didn't enjoy the smell of that. But what's interesting about, and again, without getting like, debating any kind of reasoning, it is just kind of interesting though, because that movie is so old, right? And when Splash Mountain opened, there was no uproar then. So it lasted all these times. So why now would it be upsetting? It's not like it was, oh, we have this new ride. It's a new concept. It's like, it was based on a very old movie. There was no like uproar then. So it's kind of like, if it was about that topic, then that wouldn't have been approved ever, So
and to be fair, there could have been then and they just ignored it because it just wasn't as big of a hoopla. Disney, like, we're gonna Disney. At the end of the day, we're gonna Disney. We're gonna do what we do.
But I would not have picked that ride.
You can tell us in the comments on this. You can give us some feedback. Give us your opinion on it. It's all good. We're here to have fun. But that's an interesting one, because I really do. I really did enjoy that ride. Like, I can see that being a lot of people's favorite, because again, Disney is sweltering during certain times of the year. So if you go like on a flume ride, it had multiple drops in there where you get a little.
I love the double one. The double one was my favorite.
Well, you had the little double thing, but it's funny also that you'd have Okay, if you've ever been on there where somebody like inevitably puts their hand in the water and starts splashing somebody in another boat, and you get the person on the PA comes on, it's like, keep your hands and arms inside the boat at all times. You're like, that happens. Spoiler alert. Not even spoiler alert, but let's go back from the Wayback Machine. Okay. We'll go back and flashback to this is 1998. I am on Splash Mountain, and I decided to get engaged before the drop. Yes, that is correct. My former fiance, we were on the ride.
You were very young. Let's put that out there. You were also very young.
I was very young. Yeah, I was like 18 years old, and I still was, I was, very wet behind the ears still, and I just, it wasn't from the drop. But I just decided I was going to propose to my girlfriend. We were in Disney. Kind of got the wind that she knew that something was going to happen on this trip because you're going to do like the castle thing, everything else, and ended up not doing that when I found out. And I was like, "What's me? It's me, okay? I'm going to do this before the drop on Splash Mountain." So I had my buddy Mike behind me on the ride, and as we're going up the hill, he passes me over my shoulder this ring, and I go and I give it to her. Or like I go as we're going to drop, I say something about this being a great day. It can't get any better. But she's like, half listening, and I go, "Will you marry me?" And then they go down the drop, and it takes the picture. Okay, and her face is like, "Oh God!" It's still, it's a good and bad memory at the same time. I wish her well, everything else, but it's like kind of like it's just a funny story. It's like, who does that? Who gets engaged on Splash Mountain? Meanwhile, Gina's like, they got engaged. Let us go.
Oh, I told every single person the entire trip, everywhere we went. I was like, my brother just got engaged. Because one thing to know about our family is we are very supportive of each other, and we love to celebrate. I actually kind of live by the quote, "It's okay if I'm not your cup of tea," because I'm a glass of champagne because I love to celebrate. And I do. Like I told everybody on that trip. Also, it was Mike who ended up, because I thought that was Glenn. Why did I have a vision that was Glenn that was holding the ring?
No.
Oh, my bad. Again, see, we get things wrong.
Yeah, see,
more
you know. But yeah, it was just a funny memory. Like I said, I'm like, I wish everybody well nowadays, but I'm like, that was just a funny thing from back in the day.
Before we move on, I'm going to tell a story. Maybe I shouldn't tell this, but since we're on Splash Mountain telling stories, when you were actually just alluding to this or hinting around about this before, is that I went with my high school, my junior year, I think it was. And I was on the drill team in school. So we were like the high kicks, pom-pom squad, everything. And we got to perform. This was back when schools performed like in Epcot and everything. Like we did a parade around Epcot. You really don't see that stuff anymore. And it was like the Disney's Magical Music Days. And we were all on Splash Mountain. And so the way they loaded, from each side, but ended up going into like one row. So we had back-to-back logs, a bunch of kids from my school. And then as they loaded in the other side, it was a different school. We didn't know them at all. So as you get to the part of Splash Mountain where it's like you're slowing up because they're unloading people, the boat in between our schools starts splashing us with water. And we're like, hey,
destroy them.
As kids, we start splashing back. And me and the girl in the front are just like, because we're like in the front row of the second boat. So we're like just getting hit. And we're like, So this cast member comes over, understandably, and is like, "Oh, you kids that were splashing on Splash Mountain, don't come back from the rest of the day," which broke my heart inside because I was like,
"Oh, you got in trouble.
Oh my
Disney
God,
jail for you."
I'm just embarrassed because it's like I'm the Disney goer of everybody in our group. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I've been tarnished like this. So we did track down like another cast member, like, because, we left there and just asked, like, is this a real thing? And they did say, like, they've changed shifts so often. They're not going to hang your picture somewhere. They're never going to know. But obviously, and that made me feel better just because it wasn't something we were instigating, but it was, a memory where I always tell everybody I got kicked off Splash Mountain once.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back. Just one last thing. Bring it back to way far ago. And I was a lot younger. I'm talking like a lot younger. And I get off Splash Mountain. And because this is a TV 14 rating, I will just say that there was a phone booth section as you got off the ride. If you went to the left, there was like a little bathroom thing. There was little phone booths over there. If you kids nowadays, you can look up what a phone booth is. But you go over, and it was like there were just little phones on the wall. Well, it was like one of those after-hour kind of events. Not a lot of people around. And there was two people over there. One person was sitting on the phone booth. The other person was giving them a very, let's just say, intense hug from in front of them. And I walked by, I was like, oh my goodness. I go, an intense hug. You can fill in the blanks. But There's a Splash Mountain story for you. Of course, that was also famous for there being a website of people flashing.
Splash Mountain. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
They're on a Splash
So,
Mountain, and
I was
they
like, can you
took
imagine the person that
upload.
works there that's responsible? They used to have a little blurry thing they put up in front of it.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we're gonna move on from this segment because
And that's why it's the most popular ride at Disney World.
and that's why Flash Mountain actually made Splash Mountain the #1
Okay.
attraction.
Oh man.
But we're gonna get into our main topic now, which is how do you continue the magic at home after your Disney vacation? Like, Gina, you're a mom. I'm a father, but like when you have kids, like for you and your son, how do you continue that Disney magic when you guys get home?
Well, first, I just want to say Disney blues are a real thing. And I actually wrote today on social saying if you suffer from WDW, which is woeful Disney withdrawal, I'm calling it, it is a real thing. Like if you do not have, first of all, the number one thing is you have to have your next trip planned or in sights when you're leaving before you even leave Disney. Like have it in mind. But I would say my son and I, we have a lot of Disney home decor. My entire kitchen is themed in Ratatouille. I absolutely love that. We listen to Disney music all the time. The biggest thing I would say though, and as I guess now we fall into the Disney content creator category because we have a Disney podcast, is really just the plethora of Disney content that you can find between social media and the internet. So just putting on, whether it's something like a Disney food blog where they're giving you lists and countdowns and info, or if it's somebody like, Mammoth Club or a Tim Tracker that are walking around the parks and it's just kind of strolling. My mom loves Paging Mr. Morrow. The giggles she gets when she watches.
Let's just be honest. He just seems like the best human being on the planet. All those guys do, to be honest with you. Tim Tracker especially as well. But he just seems like he might be the sweetest man on the planet. I just got to say
Morrow.
that. He's
Shout
got a
out to
great
Mr.
sense of
Morrow.
style because he wears all his Roosevelt shirts
So
and everything. You have ones that have him model and all.
Yeah.
But
But
he
I
is
would-
absolutely.
Yeah. I would say
awesome.
watching that content really does give you a feeling. And again, I've even said that a lot on social media lately to people with their videos that they post. It just puts you in there. Like you just feel like I'm there. I'm walking around. And I mentioned this in our first episode about, our non-Disney loving friends don't understand that. How is it fun to watch someone else go to Disney World? And I just can't put it into words. It's an if you know kind of thing. But I would say that's the number one thing. While our house has got Disney essence places, it's really watching that content or going back and watching our own videos and pictures. But sometimes it's even more fun just to see like what's going on at Disney now or checking wait times from your phone like I did today.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. Like for me, like we're always doing the next planning stage, right? You want to plan when you're already at the parks and everything so you can get excited for your next trip. But when you're at home and you're like, your next trip's going, or you're starting to plan one, you get that dose of Disney dopamine, like Gina would say. It's like, you're like, okay, we got to go on. Now, where do we want to eat? But who else can we think about that want to come with us? My wife does this too. Like she's like, I want to go here. We should invite this person. This would be fun. You think they would go? My daughter Peyton is the same way. Like she's like, okay, can we do this time? I want to try to do this. I want to try to do that. It's fun to do the planning part, but it's also fun. Like when you go on, like you said, you can watch these videos on there, but you can also do things where Disney recipes or things that will recall something. You can make Disney waffles at home. You could sit there and have a Disney movie night. You can watch home movies of your past Disney trips and kind of laugh and put yourself in that mode. Now, just like you were saying, there's different channels on YouTube, especially, and shout out to, I think it's Sorcerer Radio. And they have a live stream all the time. It's on YouTube. You go check them out. We'll put a thing and drop
and Deep Park Radio too, because both of those are also Alexa enabled skills that you can use through your Alexa.
And what is it? What's the last one?
Deep Park Radio.
Okay. Yeah. So they're giving you the channel and they do some like customizations and everything, giving the channel you'd watch when you get to the resort TV stuff. So you can look and they'll have little things like here's the opening and closing of the park that day, or here's this and here's that. And it just gives you that feeling. There is, and Gina and I have both said it, there is somebody that does the wait time little electronic side. I think it's the cinema guy.
My Cinema, I think it's called.
Yeah. So we see those pop up on our social media all the time. So I like it every time it does, but somebody engineered something that literally it's like a screen, much like an Alexa screen that goes through. Will show you the wait times for rides. They have
and they're live. They're
3D,
like linked.
and you can subscribe. And there's like a subscription thing. You go through it. Like shout out to them. I think it's an amazing idea.
Yeah.
but you have a little screen. It shows you all this stuff, and it can show you like the same thing as we were talking about on Sorcerer Radio. But it's also, they have ones that are just individual things. Like they might have like 3D printed stuff that looks like the castle, and it shows you little wait times in a little digital format, and it's a little different. But things like that, and the little magic band stuff, like you can scan your magic band on it.
People started doing that for home stuff. Like they have a magic band thing that like opens the doors or turns their TV on.
Well, look at it this way. It's basically like NFC or RFID technology anyway. So if you can just read the code on it, you can use it for anything, which is a lot of fun. Cool. And you can see like both of our houses, like, we have stuff in there. Like you see behind me, I've got my Dopey, which is my favorite Disney Big Fig, because Dopey is my favorite character. I was going through things the other day and I found a box, and it was all Disney beanies, like Disney Beanie Baby kind of things. And I was like, well, this is cool because they're all brand new condition. I had bought a ton of them, put them in a box because that investment. I was like, one day these will be worth like
$1 million
what I paid for them. So these will be worth almost nothing. But it was funny because I have one of them here, and it's the Pluto little thing. Now it's got like the thing on there. It says Mouse Get Toys. Okay. The better thing is when you look at it, if I can get this thing to line up, it's a $7 price tag on this. Like, I don't know what color it would be nowadays because there's no prices on anything in Disney. Oh man, that's maroon. I can't afford that. I don't even know what that is. I just go around Disney already thinking I can't afford something because I don't pay in colors. I'm like, what about green? That's what color money is. I'm like,
but that is a smart system. It sucks because it means they're changing prices frequently, but instead of re-stickering everything. But it does make me often wonder if prices are different at different times of year. Like they could literally do seasonal pricing and be like, oh, at this time of year, maroon equals this, and that's all they'd have to do without re-stickering a single thing.
This is chartreuse. I'm like, what color you get? Violet.
I do want to share, because I had mentioned on our social, again, if you guys aren't following us yet, we are at BBT Magic Podcast on TikTok, on Instagram, at Facebook. We're Bring Back the Magic Podcast. So please give us a follow. And actually now we have a website that'll take you straight to our YouTube channel. But I wanted to make note, because I did a reel the other day asking other people, like, how do you, do the magic in between trips, and how do you keep it going? And I wanted to share something some people said. One person was actually Rachel, who we met on a Disney cruise and have stayed in touch with. She was saying she does those virtual Run Disney races. And I think that's really cool because, that means like you're not in Disney, but you basically get mailed the medal. And it's kind of an honor system.
I'm too heavy to participate even in a virtual race. My gut is out of control. I literally was out of breath you saying that.
Yeah, but it's definitely an honor system because you don't have to. But also the regular races, unless you're getting like a medal like the Goofy or the Dopey, meaning you completed several races, you don't have to finish to get the medal.
Well, you save a lot on airfare, that's for sure.
So Mama Mini Magic said shopping for outfits and accessories. I agree. Keeping my Disney gear going all throughout. That just makes me feel a little taste of the magic while I'm home. Hi Ho Holden said engaging with people on TikTok's been helpful. I also open mystery pins at home to give life some spice. And I think that's fun too, like buying the Disney stuff. And like, remember the Disney store was like in every mall? You holding up that Beanie Baby made me think of the giant mountain of stuffed animals that were there. Like those are very cool, like childhood memories. And another one I wanted to mention was that somebody said about, doing, like you mentioned, like doing the Disney themed dinner at home, doing Disney recipes. It said just having a Disney walkthrough playing on YouTube in the background. And then a lot of that was people just mentioning content. Disney Food Blog was a big one that came up frequently because they do a good job, I think, of making you feel like you're there. And then somebody else said, I don't know, but I'd like to recreate the rides in Planet Coaster. I'm like, that sounds fun. Like, I know my son is a big Minecraft person, and they have, is it Minecraft or Roblox that has like the overlay, like an overlay you can do, and it's all like Disney themed, and it makes Magic Kingdom. I'm trying to think. I think that's Minecraft. It's
Minecraft. Really cool. You remember when? Okay, we talk about that kind of stuff. Remember when Disney Quest was open? Okay, it's again, when Disney Quest was open, they're building another thing much kind of like that down in downtown Disney again. They're doing that level, whatever, I forget what it's called. Again, I don't research everything.
We're not here for the facts, people.
Not
We're
here.
not an
It could be
info
called anything at this point. Who knows? Just kidding. It just escapes me for this part.
Yeah, I know
But
what you mean.
remember when they had Cyberspace Mountain in there, and you go through and you would go and you would build your roller coaster. So you would have a thing, but you'd ride it in an F-18 flight simulator. So you would go through, you'd build your coaster, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is this and this," and you literally this thing would roll you, flip you.
It
and
was
do all
being
this
in a
stuff.
washing machine. No joke.
Oh yeah, it was literally like
Being
you were in a
washing
dryer.
machine, and there was no air in there. There was no like. I need air. If I'm on a roller coaster or any kind of ride, I need like air flowing, like blowing in my face, or I'll get sick.
It was a neat experience because you can go through, make it, and you had to make sure stuff. And basically, at the end, it kind of all ended up kind of the same because they
They
had to make
graded
it
your
work.
roller coaster like a number, like as far as the the
like the
thrill of it, I guess.
intensity.
And then they would ask you, "Do you want to upgrade it? Like yours is only a 3. Do you want to upgrade?" I'm like, "No, let's just do hills."
Yeah,
They
that's
had
cool.
emergency stop in there though, an emergency stop button for people that got sick.
Well, I do think that, like when you were saying about the Disney store, and the Disney
Mm-hmm.
store when it was in malls, like a lot of places, was
Mhm.
cool because you can go in there and it gave you that Disney vibe. And you walked in there, and you see like a little, almost like cast member, little badge on somebody, which apparently they're really that's not really affiliated into the park stuff, obviously via discounts and stuff. So you can't really
Right.
abuse anything if you've got an annual pass, if you've got DVC, if you got that stuff.
Mhm.
But we're in the Pennsylvania area, and Lancaster has a Disney outlet. So I went up there, not a whole lot of stuff in it, but I still get that Disney vibe. It was kind of like, oh, here's a lot of toys from different, maybe not so popular Disney franchises. But I was able to find, my wife loves Cheshire Cat. Okay. So I was able to find her this really cool, like woolly kind of lounge fly that she absolutely loves. And I'm sure she loves it because I saw her face when I gave it to her. So I'm sure she loves it. But I like that kind of stuff because it's also me. It's like finding little things that the obscure stuff in those stores really makes me happy. And I wish they come out with more merchandise from Disney properties that we really love and enjoy. First off, Emperor's New Groove needs a ton of merchandising because they almost have none. I'm like, it is almost non-existent unless you go.
I have a shirt that says "It's all about me, Boom Baby," and
Mhm.
it was the most thrilling thing on earth when I found it because I was like, because it's and actually just recently I saw a thing saying that it was voted the most underrated movie. Again, who's the source? I don't know, but I agree.
Alexa said it. Alexa
Yes.
said this. She's really out of her mind.
I agree. And I think it's a huge miss. And Danny and I have mentioned this when they opened the Ratatouille ride, that there is not an entire Ratatouille themed like gift shop because so many rides end in a gift shop. And also they have in the window the fake Anton Ego wine. They
Well,
could be selling that. It's France, like
they could.
all kitchen gear. I'm not saying like rat themed
Now-
stuff, but I'm saying
See, there is and isn't. So there is a Ratatouille gift shop, but it's not immediately outside the ride. It
Yeah,
is
but it's
on
not
the way
really as
into
much-
the thing. It's now it is. Like last time I was out, there's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. It's about half a gift shop, but it's a lot of Ratatouille stuff. But they
Mhm.
could do that better. And I figure when they expanded,
Yeah.
they should have done what you. It was just like a
Mhm.
cart because remember everybody was buying.
yeah, it
the
was a
hats,
cart. And I know the
like,
store
with,
you're
like
talking
Remy Pops
about.
out of them and everything else.
Yeah, but think they could do all kitchen stuff. And people that come for food and wine festivals and stuff, they'd eat it up. Like
Yeah,
canisters
absolutely.
and things like that. Like, I don't know. I think it's a big miss. Even just selling, like I said, the Anton Ego wine, like making
I
that
think
real.
that's a great idea. I think that's like Disney should definitely get on selling the bottles of wine because they could. They do that. Well, they have stuff that's like already opted into the park, like Once Upon a Vine. Like they
Mhm.
have those bottles and everything they sell throughout
Yeah.
like the park stuff. There is
Yeah.
France does have some wines they sell in there. Italy has some wines they sell in there. Germany. There's multiple places in World Showcase that sell
Mhm.
alcohol. And you got like the pear brandy and everything everybody does shots of in Germany, and that's will knock you on your butt when you go to the Weinkeller.
Boutique. I wanted to share another one off of our socials. It was from Walt Guides, which is a great account, and says we do themed dinner nights. We made Polynesian lobby buoys out of balloons, twine, and sticks. And then
That's
saying
cool.
about they listen to music. And I love that because that's a true like Disney fanatic. And again, it's an if you know, you know. To us, that doesn't sound weird. That sounds amazing. If I were to tell one of my other friends that's an infrequent Disney, I know they'd look at me and be like, get a life. And it's like, no, I have a life. I have a Disney life. My favorite thing to say to people is like, we don't need you to understand us because we understand each other. Like we all get it. So something like that. I remember back in the days, I think when we had first done it And our oldest sister, Missy, they had suggested like, hey, let's do a night where leading up to our trip, we take the Chef Mickey cookbook and we make recipes. Each of us make a recipe out of it for a meal. And then let's do a Disney trivia night. And that's the Wonkavator night where we talked about our other podcast where we were all like trying to answer questions.
And that's where everyone had a brain fart about trying to remember what and this was a long time ago, what countries were in what order.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. Do the trivia. Like, I just can't imagine just a year going by and I'm just not even contemplating a Disney trip. Like, it just doesn't even compute to me, that idea. And I do. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I do agree with the people that said, and I know it now because, I've been on my personal socials and my previous job was a different whole industry. So now having our podcast account, everything on my feed is Disney, and just getting to see all this content, it makes me not even want to go on my personal account anymore because the vibe is so high on Disney socials that you're just like, you're flying like Peter Pan, and it's literally
the
like
Disney community is amazing. The Disney community is amazing, so supportive. Thank you so much to everybody who's been so supportive of us. And again, we've been doing this our life. It's just us live talking about it. This is how Gina and I have been our entire life, and these are the conversations we have. We're just kind of sharing this with the world now, just saying, look, not that we feel so important, but we are flattered that people would actually watch us and be encouraging. But it's so nice to see that community when you post something and you're like, people like this, people dig it. People have similar experiences that we have. And like I said, and it's funny because us recording this particular episode is on the heels of me getting ready to go down to Disney. And I'm still like a little kid. I'm just going down to go and capture some stuff, get some footage of some things.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, well.
I wish I could go with you on this trip, but also because of
you. I didn't invite you.
You did. But
I didn't because I want to sound mean for this podcast. I didn't. You stay home.
Now I think we might have to do a little jaunt down there next month because my next scheduled trip isn't that soon, but making it work just because and again, when you were saying about the community, the Disney community on socials, what's also cool about them is there's room for everybody in this community. Like if I see another Disney podcast pop up, which I do, I'm not going like, oh, there's my competitor. Disney people can't get enough Disney. So it doesn't matter how many podcasts they are, how many vloggers there are, how many people that make, small shop merch or anything. There's room for everyone. And I love seeing how many people do like a follow for follow or, hey, tag your favorite creator. And they're all interactive and they comment. I do the same thing. It's just so blissful. And again, I don't know the Universal community. I mean, there's a lot of Disney creators that also love Universal and they post about that as well. But I just can't imagine it's that same synergy and symbiosis. Like I can't imagine it's that same emotional connection. I could be wrong, but that's the real high that you get from Disney. It's just everyone's bringing that bliss.
It's two different things because Disney is more of a culture. Like Disney has been it's been instilled in people over many, many, many years. Universal does a lot of great things. They have a lot of great movie stuff. They do a lot of cool rides. Epic Universe, you're going to see a lot of stuff now as it's opening.
Yeah.
It's incredible. They do a great immersive experience. They don't have the insulated kind of where Disney's on its own island, but on land, like where it's all this space. You've got 20-some thousand acres of property and roadways and hotels and this stuff. And when you go to Universal, no shade on Universal. It's a great time. It's fun. I think Epic Universe is going to force Disney to make some changes to what they're doing because they really have made some immersive experiences. And I hope it makes everybody better. When the competition arrives, it makes everything better.
Agreed.
So that's good. But I feel like Disney has that seclusion where you go and it is a resort. So when you're there, you feel like you're just on a resort. You can go here, the bus transportation, the different little eateries, the different activities you can get into. There's things in Disney that even if you went there and stayed for months, you wouldn't complete everything. There's so many different places to stay, so many things to get involved in, so many different restaurants to eat in. But like Gene said, it's a different kind of feeling when you have Disney versus like a Universal. And when you're leading up to it, everybody always says like 3 more sleeps to Disney, 1 more sleep and I'm there. Oh, I can't. They get off and they're happy. You see the people, other than the people in the airport that are trying to corral their children. Usually it's that 8 a.m., 7 a.m. flight and they're trying to get the kids out on. And it's like, and then everybody in the world has pre-board because they want to try to get to a spot where they're not sitting next to children. And the family boarding for like Southwest is like,
well, that's going bye-bye.
10,000
Everyone's going to have.
it is like 10,000 miles long. So everybody's like, crap.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the B group is like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, but it is what it is. But you have that feeling of just love and magic. And that's what you're saying with this Bring Back the Magic podcast. It is about the magic.
It
The
is.
magic
It
is real. Okay. It really is. I'm telling you. You can doubt me if you want, but I'm like, it is. Like when you go, there's so many experiences that used to be in old school Disney, you'd see more of, and which I want to see more of in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
Because right now you don't see, like, they used to have the random, like, you know, the pixie dust stuff had a lot more occurrences way back when. We're talking maybe like 15 to 20 years ago. It was really, really prevalent then. And it's like, maybe we do more of that now when you have more competition with Universal. Maybe you do more of it because you want people. I feel like now they're getting more people in the parks and hiring and getting some people working there. I have met some outstanding cast members in the past few trips that I went there, which really does do my heart joy because, again, these people are dealing with a lot over the course of time. You just because you're nice doesn't mean everybody's been nice to that person. Everybody has a breaking point. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with the cast members. And I also got to remember for my trip, I'm going down, stack a little thing of coins in my pocket for my little cast member appreciation challenge coins. But again, with me leaving for my trip, and you got to love something to get in the car by yourself and drive 15 hours, okay, to get down to the park, to go and do some stuff, only stay a few days, and then drive back and then have normal life happening. You got to truly love something. And in this case, I do. And I also feel this is such an ultimate privilege to be able to have these trips and to be able to do it, because a lot of people may only go to Disney once or may never get a chance to get there. You know, I'm always the person that wants to be like, I want to share the magic. So if I can ever make somebody else's Disney dream come true, I would love to help. You know, so I'm like, I can't do that for everybody. Don't send me a barrage of emails or something and say, hey, you said you want to help with magic. I'd love to. Not currently in the money situation right now to be able to do that. But it's great to see that look on somebody's face when they're experiencing it for the first time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say too. And back to what you were saying about, you know, just that vibe you get going in. I also wonder, are there other cultures like that? And I don't want to just say, you know, Universal. I know like Universal, a lot of is the Harry Potter people that are just like, that's a whole, you know, culture and everything. But even just thinking of for Disney, it's not just when you step in the park. Your Disney magic really does start from the second you book that trip, because people are doing their countdowns, or what we just said, making meals leading up, watching videos leading up, and then even down to the videos I constantly see of the MCO carpet, where everyone's like, you know, when you see that carpet, the magic's ready to begin. And the fact that even the transportation, you know, from each end of the airport is basically like a monorail. It's actually more like a people mover though, because I saw a thing, fact check me on this, everyone, but it was talking about how the people mover doesn't run on motors, it runs on magnets. And actually that's the same technology that they gave to, like, that technology Disney owns, but they use it in the airport. And I believe it's also used by the government in the little ones that they have go underneath that take them from place to place.
Do you know that it's weird because it says the emergency exit doors when you're in a shuttle at MCO airport. It says when you're by the shuttle, it says emergency exit. That walking path goes all the way through the middle of that track. And it used to be,
You know, I've walked on that.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, what I'm saying is, it used to be that you could do it. Now it just says emergency exit.
Yeah.
Used to be back then you could take that. I think they just took it away and said, oh, it's the emergency exit. So if it gets fails.
You just can't trust people. Long story short, I had to walk across that because there was like a issue at the airport where there was like a security breach. Nothing ended up happening. It was like somebody's battery in their laptop, but it was a whole horrible nightmare story I will share another time when we have more time. But I had to walk across.
That's depressing. Save it.
I didn't even know that was an option, but it's like you had to walk across. They would not let you take that. But back to finishing that thought.
That's what you need at the end of a Disney trip. More walking.
But it's literally like that you land in that, you just feel the vibe. You get in your whatever transportation you take over to your resort. We talked about in the other podcast about going under that big sign. And I've seen more and more people talking about not even just doing the parks every day. And so if you're at Universal and you're not doing the parks every day, I would wager what you are doing is taking a day in Disney. But if you are in Disney, you could do non-park days and never leave the Disney resort. You could be doing monorail, crawl around and checking out the restaurants and the shops and the bars in the different places. You can be going to different resorts just, because you want to see them. You can be going to the downtown. There's so many things you can do. Even just sometimes your own hotel, being able to have more time to enjoy your own hotel. Like I always say, my dream Disney vacation is 3 weeks long because number one, Disney Springs has a lot of restaurants. And I usually only have 1, maybe 2 nights out of a week-long trip that I can go eat at Disney Springs. And that's not enough because I'm going to want to pick the restaurants I know I love, and I'm not having enough time to pick a new one. But 3 weeks would give you the nice coasting, relaxing, not having to rush. When you go to Disney a lot, you have the benefit of not having to rush through everything because you can say, I'll ride it next time. I understand newbies have to do their spreadsheets and have to make sure they hit everything in one time. And sometimes I wonder if that's their only impression of Disney. Are they getting the magic? I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you need to relax a little bit more on your Disney vacation, okay? Because then when you get home, you need another vacation because you're so worn out. But these are great points. Like I said, this episode, we really wanted to kind of touch on what you do. So put some comments down in the video and comments below, whatever people
we
say.
Can steal your ideas.
Yeah, we can steal those
might
things.
Want to do that.
Claim them as our own. Copyrighted, stamped it.
No. We want to do it. I need more ways to keep the magic going. I can never get enough.
Yeah, but thank you guys so much for listening to another, what we feel is a great episode. Because we're very biased because we're on it. Please don't hurt our feelings. Thank you for listening to this episode. We've had a lot of fun unpacking some Disney magic with you. And Gina, anything you want to say?
As always, I would like to ask you kindly to please follow us on all of our socials, which we are at BBT Magic Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Bring Back the Magic Podcast on Facebook. And then, of course, Bring Back the Magic Podcast on YouTube. We really appreciate the engagement and the follow. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, and please watch your head and step as you exit the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bring back the magic for all to see. Together we'll discover all the joy and glow. In every story, there's a little bit of gold. Join our podcast adventure, let the magic unfold.